Hi, my name is Ng Lei Jin. My number metric is 270494. Today, I would like to talk about one of the important topics in human resource management, which is selections. Basically, selections is the process of choosing the individual best suited for a particular position and the organizations from a group of applicants. It also can say that selection is a systematic process of hiring the right persons for the right job at the right time. The goal of the selection process is to match the people with the work and organization. If individuals are overqualified, underqualified, or for any reason do not fit with the job or the organization's culture, they will be ineffective and may leave the firms, voluntarily or otherwise. There are many ways to improve productivity, but none is more powerful than making the right hiring decision. By hiring the right person will help organizations in attain their organization goal. Therefore, the selection is a critical procedure that need appropriate plannings and objectively. The typical selection process is a flexible model for how organizations select a new employee. The selection process might look somewhat different from organization to organizations according to the type of job being filled. But there are 6 essential steps or elements that commonly define the process of acquiring talents. And throughout the selection process, the employer can reject applicants at any time if they found the applicant is not qualified. Step 1. Preliminary screening. The selection process often begins with preliminary screening to eliminate those who obviously do not meet the position requires or those who are unqualified. Preliminary screening is usually done through a short interview, test, or review the applications or resume for clear mismatch to eliminate those unqualified candidates. This could help save a lot of time, and at the same time it also brings another benefit, which is the job applications applied may not the most suit for the candidate, and there was another vacations that best suit with the applicant. It is possible that the position for which the applicant applied is not the only one available. If the person doing the screening know about another open positions in the firms, he or she may be able to steer the prospective employee to another positions. This type of assessments not only build goodwill for the firms, but also can maximize recruitment and selection effectiveness. Step 2. Review of applications and resume. Potential employees apply for a job by sending their applications to the organization. The employee then evaluates it to see if there is a clear match between the individual and the position. A well-designed and correctly used application form may help because it contains and provides important information in the standard form. The application form will give the organization information about the candidate like their name, their work experience, their education level, address, military service, phone number, email address, hobby, and interest. The application form usually contains some pre-print statements. First, by signing the form, the applicant certifies the information provided on the form is accurate and true. Employer may reject candidates who make false statements about major issues. If the candidate make inaccurate statements, or if they fail to disclose matters that could seriously harm the employer employment decisions, they can be dismissed after employment. Secondly, if not prohibited by state law, the form should also state that the conditions of the employments are voluntary employment. Voluntary employment is a policy whereby employer and employee can terminate employment for any reason at any time. Finally, the form should contain a statement through which candidate can check their background or recommended. The manager will compare the information's contents in the complete applications with the job descriptions to determine whether there is a potential match between the company requirements and the applicant's qualifications. However, many management and professional positions may not need to fill out an application form initially. In this case, a resume is sufficient. A resume is a go-direct summary of a person's experience, educations, and training developed for use in the selection process. Professional and managerial applicants often begin the selection process by submitting a resume. The resume will include the career objective for specific positions the applicant is seeking, and the resume should be focused on showing how a person has the skill and ability required to complete the positions identified in the career objective statement. And recently, the use of applicants tracking system (ATS) coupled with the downsizing of human resource department has resulted in a situation in which many resumes are never seen by human eyes once they enter the system. Therefore, it is important for the applicants using keyword resume in their resume to help them get past the resume scanning procedure. Resume keywords are words or phrases that describe specific job requirements, which are the ability, skill, expertise, and value that the recruiter is looking for in the candidate. Step 3. Selection test. Before an organization decided a suitable job for any individual, they have to measure their talents and skill. This is done through various employment tests, such as cognitive ability tests, to test the general reasoning ability, memory, vocabulary, oral fluence, and numerical ability. The personality test, to measure the traits and temperament. The job knowledge test, to measure a candidate knowledge of the job duty they have applied. An aptitude test, to test how well a person can learn or acquire skill or ability. This test score factors such as potentials, personality, ability, and motivations of potential employee, so that manager can select candidates based on how they fit into the open positions and organization's culture. The employment test could help organizations predict an applicant's ability to perform the job and on-the-job performance. Organizations also use tests to identify attitude and job-related skills that interview could not recognize. Also, the cost of employment testing is more in comparison to final hiring costs. Therefore, selection tests are a more efficient way to get an information that result in better qualified people being hired. However, employers should be aware that tests might be unintentionally discrimination, and this will cause the organization to miss a talent and select the wrong persons, which will put the organization at risk. In addition, the employee must ensure that the test is job-related in questions for the positions and consistent with business necessity. However, tests alone are not enough to prove its reliability and not enough to fully evaluate candidates. Therefore, the firm need to combine them with another selection tool such as reference check and interview to evaluate a candidate. Step 4. Employment interview. The employment interview is a goal-oriented conversation in which the interviewer and applicant exchange information. Employment interviews are done to identify a candidate's skill set and ability to work in an organization in detail. The purpose of employment interview is to find out the suitability of the candidate and to give him an idea about the work profile and what is expected of the potential employee. The information is needed to indicate whether the individual is willing to work and can adapt to the particular organizations. which to ensure the organization fit. An employment interview is critical for the selections of the right people for the right job. Generally, there are 4 types of interview, which is unstructured interview, structured interview, behavioral interview, and situational interview. The first one is unstructured interview. Unstructured interview is one in which the interviewer asks probing, open-end questions. This type of interview is comprehensive, and the interviewer encourages the applicant to have more conversation. The example questions such as, tell me more about yourself. What are your strengths and weaknesses? What value are you bring to the table? What specific attracted you to our organizations, etc. The second type is structured interview, which the interviewer asks each applicant for a particular job the same series of job-related questions. Job knowledge questions would be asked to probe the applicant's job-related knowledge. The third one is behavioral interview. The behavioral interview is a structured interview in which applicants are asked to relate actual incidents from their past relevance to the target job. For example, to determine the ability of applicant work as a team, the interviewer may ask, give me an example of a time you faced a conflict while working on a team. How did you handle that? Or talk about a time when you had a job closely with someone whose personality was very different from you. The last one is situational interview. In situational interview, the interviewer will create hypothetical situations that candidates may encounter on the job and ask how they would handle them. This has given the interviewer better insight into how candidate would perform in the work environment. For example, the question might be asked, one of your employees have experienced a significant decline in the productivity. How would you handle it? Or, if your team receives a new idea or policy you introduce, how would you handle it? Step 5. Pre-employment screening, background or reference check. At this step of the selection process, the applicants have normally complete an application form or submit a resume, taking the necessary selection test and undergoing an employment interview. On the surface, the candidate have looked qualified. Now is the time to determine the accuracy of the information submitted or to determine whether there is any important information that will influence the final selection decision have not submitted. Background investigations involve obtaining data from various sources including previous employer, business associate, credit bureau, government agency, and academic institution. Fingerprints are also becoming a more common part of inspections, especially for companies that hire workers responsible for ensuring workplace safety, such as financial service, hospital, school, and hazardous material service. In this step, the organization will also check the candidate criminal's record. It is important because many applicants with criminal record tend to lie about it on their application. Criminal background investigations are conducted to ensure a safe work environment, to eliminate or reduce criminal activity in the workplace. Criminal background investigations conduct to ensure a safe work environment, to eliminate or reduce criminal activity in the workplace. The intensity of background investigations depend on the nature of the open positions task and its relationship to customer or client. To be legally safe, employers should ask applicants to sign a liability warrant to permit the background investigations. It authorizes organizations to inspect court records and verify applicants' education's history. At the same time, they will also have a reference check. Reference check is when an employee contacts people who can verify a job candidate's skill, experience, education, and work history. Employer may ask to contact previous employer, teachers, professors, or other people who the candidate has worked with. They are a valuable source of information to supplement the background investigation. They can provide information about the person's capability, attitude, behavior, skill, and experience in the previous company. All this information is important because it may cause the organization selecting the wrong person, which may harm the organization. After all the background and reference check has done, then we'll come to the final step. The final step is selection decision. This step, the manager will do the actual hiring decision. Manager need to do the decisions on hire the most qualified available candidate. The final choice is made from amongst those who have passed all the 5 steps. They also will having the medical examinations to help the employee know if any of the potential candidates have physically or mentally fit to perform their duty in their job. A good system of medical checkup ensure that the employee standard of the health are higher and there are few cases of absenteeism, accidents, and employee turnover. In making these final selection decisions, the manager will review results of the selections method. Generally, the qualifications of the selected persons are those who best meet the requirements of the open positions and organization. After the selection decisions have made, the organization should inform both successful and unsuccessful candidates of the selection decisions as soon as possible. These actions will help the organization maintain its good public relations. Moreover, any delay in notifying the candidate about the result of the selections will also result in the firm losing the prime candidates because top prospects often have other employment options. Therefore, it is important for the organizations to inform the candidate about the selection decisions as soon as possible. That's all for my sharing. Thank you for lending me your ear.